Our school, Michael Nagar Shikhaniketan, government-sponsored co-ed English medium higher secondary, has taken an excellent initiative in conducting online classes through YouTube channel. Even in this pandemic situation, our school did not step aback in providing and enhancing knowledge to the students. So, it's a request to the viewers, please like, comment and subscribe.
So today we have come to a new section of the last chapter of our syllabus, that is section 5D, which includes a very new topic, that is biodiversity and its conservation. Now when we are coming to the word biodiversity, I hope every one of you has heard of this term once or twice in your life. So here we are going to read about what biodiversity is, and we are going to talk about the different types, their importance. Then we are going to talk about how can you conserve the biodiversity and why is the conservation of biodiversity very important. So the definition of biodiversity itself is there in the name only. How? I have written here, the word biodiversity can be divided into two parts. The very first one is bio and the next one is diversity. The prefix bio, it refers to life forms. Bio matlab life, and when we are talking about diversity, we know that diversity means variation or the variety or varied types of organisms present in it. That means biodiversity is the various types of, is the phenomenon, or you can say that biodiversity is basically the variety of organisms present in a particular area. It can be a particular area, as in it can be as small as a aquarium. It can be as small as an aquarium and it can be as large as an ocean. Okay, so all these are biodiversity is basically the types of organisms, not only animals, but they can be plants, they can be microorganisms. The entire type of living organisms which are present or which are residing in a particular environment is basically known as biodiversity. Okay. No, so biodiversity, suppose I told you that it can be as small as, say, if we are considering that, let us consider a pond. So this is a pond. A pond can have different types of organisms, like there can be fishes, there can be various types of species, right, which can be insects. No, let us start from the smallest ones. There can be microorganisms. It can be bacteria, it can be virus, it can be protozoa, it can be any other kind of microorganism. Then we can have insects. Then there can be small fishes. Then larger fishes. They are also of different kinds, right? There are different types of fishes. Then there can be some birds as well. If we consider the water birds which are present in a pond, that is also included inside the biodiversity. Now this comes only the animal part. Now if we consider the plants, then also the aquatic plants also have got a various different types of diversity, like some which are present in the very lower parts, that means the pond bed. Some can be on the rocks, some can be over the over the pond surface, some can be within on the banks. So these are all the different types of, so a pond can have a huge amount of biodiversity. Okay, now we can also consider it from the, if we are considering a pond with an ocean, suppose we are talking about an ocean, then we can definitely draw a comparative study on it. It will be very vast, that means the biodiversity in a pond will be very much lesser than the biodiversity present in an ocean, because it is a huge space. So huge space means more types of organisms, different varieties of organisms will be present over there. So that is basically biodiversity. Now if we are considering the different types of biodiversity. We are considering, next we are going to learn about the different types of biodiversity. Now based on these space, how much space is there, biodiversity can be divided into three types. One is alpha, the other one is beta, and the last one is gamma. Alpha biodiversity basically talks about a biodiversity of one specific habitat. When we are considering one specific habitat, suppose for example, I will give you an example. If we are talking about the diversity of position A, of place A, this is place A, there we will find the different types of insects, the different types of plants, the different types of animals found over here. So this is when we are only considering the place A, then it is alpha diversity. And if we are considering beta diversity, then we are considering not only A but also B and C, suppose. So then we have to get the collective diversity of three different areas. I am giving an example 3, but not necessarily it will be 3, it can be more as well. But see, between diversity between habitats. So this is one habitat, this is one habitat, this is one habitat. So when we are considering the total biodiversity of different places in an area in a considerable amount of space, that is known as beta diversity. So alpha diversity is basically the diversity over one certain habitat, and beta diversity between more than one habitats. Here we are considering more than one habitats. And the last one is the largest one, where basically we are considering a landscape or a geographical region. Matlab this is a much bigger one. Suppose when we are talking about the diversity of India as a whole, okay, or a country as a whole, then it is gamma diversity. That means there are various other small habitats inside it, and we have to consider geographical area. Okay. So this is basically alpha diversity, beta diversity and gamma diversity. Okay. Now we will come to a new thing, that is two things you have to know. This I have told you before, but again I am going to repeat it. Two things we have to know, that is, first of all, what is species and what is biodiversity. One is species and the other is what is ecosystem. Ecosystem and species. So if we are considering species, we know that in taxonomy, I think it was in class 9, you people read about it, Carolus Linnaeus, he drew or he made this hierarchical, the taxonomic hierarchy. Do you remember the taxonomic hierarchy, which is written like this? And the very last unit which he mentioned, the very last unit that he mentioned was species. So species is basically a group of similar organisms. If I want to explain it to you in an easier manner, then species is basically the collection or a group of similar organisms, similar type of organisms who can interbreed and are present in one particular area. Okay. Suppose we are talking about, say, what is species? So suppose let us take cockroach. What is the scientific name of cockroach? The scientific name of cockroach is Periplaneta americana. Periplaneta americana. Now here this is what type of, we have learned this, that this is a binomial nomenclature. This is the genus name and this is the species name, right? So, this species specifically it specifies that specific type of Periplaneta which is present in a particular area, and all these Periplaneta americana, they are able to interbreed or reproduce among themselves. They can breed among themselves. So, that is basically what species is. Okay. Suppose the Royal Bengal tiger can interbreed with another Royal Bengal tiger, an Asiatic lion can interbreed with another Asiatic lion, right. So, this is species, that means they are similar looking organisms which can interbreed among themselves. So, when we are talking now, why am I telling you this? You will understand this later when I will explain species diversity and genetic diversity or genus diversity to you, then you will understand that. So, and the next one which you need to have a clear idea about is ecosystem. This also you know, ecosystem basically refers to the what? Interaction between, in short I am writing because I have already told you the detailed form of ecosystem in the previous chapters. So, living plus non-living. So, when there is an interaction between the living and the non-living, then that is known as ecosystem, right. So, here we have come across a new term that is known as ecological diversity. Now, ecological, this part ecology is basically the study of ecosystem. Ecology is the study as a branch of science which deals with ecosystem. It is basically the study of ecosystems. So, ecological diversity, when we are considering ecological diversity, we are actually talking about the entire environment of that particular area. What will be included in it? There will be climate, we have to consider the climate, we have to consider the vegetation, we will consider the geographical patterns of that particular area. Not only that, then we have to discuss obviously about the organisms present in it. That is basically ecological diversity. When we are talking about the environmental variations, or not environmental variations, but the entire living variations present in that particular ecosystem, that is known as ecological diversity. Okay. So, now we are coming to these two topics, these two things which we need to know. The very first one is species diversity. Now, from the name itself, it is clear that here we are talking about the different types of species present in one particular area. I will give you an example. Suppose this is one particular grassland. This is a grassland. Suppose this is a grassland in Africa. Any grassland in Africa. Now, what are the different types? I am not considering the plants. We will only take the examples of animals over here. So, suppose this is a grassland in Africa. So, in this particular grassland, it is divided into various sections. Suppose 3 sections. Suppose. Now, in the first sections, what kind of organisms they can be found? There can be lions, there can be hyenas, there can be leopards. Right? There can be leopards, lions, hyenas and leopards. Acha, let us not divide this area into 3 parts, then I will be able to explain the intraspecific and interspecific struggle as well. So, suppose this particular area has different types of organisms. Now, what are the organisms? There can be lions, hyenas, leopards if you are considering the topmost trophic level. the organisms which are present in the topmost trophic level, that is the predators, the major predators. And the food can be different, like it can be different types of deers, like there can be deers, there can be rabbits, right, there can be other types of herbivores as well. Okay, acha, there can be zebras, deers rather, if you are considering Africa, they are basically known as the Thompson's gazelle. There are various other types also, but this is one type of deer which is present in the grasslands of Africa. So, Thompson's gazelle, zebras, rabbits, wildebeests, So, what are we talking over here? So, we are considering this particular grassland in Africa where there are these different types of organisms are present, and all of them they are different species. All of them they are different species because they are not similarly looking organisms, and then they definitely cannot interbreed among themselves. They definitely cannot breed among themselves. So, they are different species. So, this particular diversity in the grassland of Africa is specific species diversity. This is species diversity. So, it is the variety of species in a given area. Have you understood? Now, when we are coming to the genetic diversity, now genetic diversity means it basically considers, or it basically talks about the variety of genes which is present in a particular species. That means the variations, the different types of varieties or varied morphs rather, various types of forms which is available in a single species or in a particular species. That is known as a variety of genes. So, variation of genes within a particular species. So, we are basically talking about the heritable variations, that means the variations which can be transmitted from the parents to their offsprings. So, that is genetic diversity. Now, we are going to talk about the importance of biodiversity. Before I get into the threats to biodiversity, we have to understand that why biodiversity is important. Now, why biodiversity is important? The very first point that comes to our mind is to maintain the balance in the ecosystem. To maintain the balance in the ecosystem. Now, this I have told you before that if we are removing one or more participants in one particular food chain or food web, then definitely the entire chain gets disrupted, right? If there is no grass, suppose here we are talking about grass, deer, lion, this is one food chain. Now, if due to some reason the grasses are not there, and if we consider that the only, suppose it is hypothetically we are considering that the deer suppose is having only the grass, or whatever food the grass is the deer is having is not there, somehow due to some environmental constraints the food of the deer is lost. Now, if there is no food for the deer, then the deer will not survive. If the deer does not survive, then the lion will also not survive. So, this is basically a chain. So, definitely to maintain the balance in the ecosystem, it is very important that each of the participants of the food chain, they are developing and they are healthy, because that is maintaining the equilibrium in the ecosystem. So, that is one point. What can be another point of importance of biodiversity? Now, we know that different types of we are able to get. So, to get resources. Why resources? Because resources, they are provided by plants. If plants are not there, in our body, in the earth, in the surface of the earth, then the solar energy will not be actually entrapped. Solar energy will not be entrapped because we cannot perform photosynthesis. It is only the plants who are capable of performing photosynthesis, and unless and until photosynthesis happens, the solar energy will not be entrapped in the body of the plants and will not be converted into the chemical energy. And when we are having that plant, then we are getting that energy, right? So this is basically a process. So resources are very much important. So we require the producers in order to get the resources, right? And resources not only in an energy perspective, but also in case of food. If there are no plants or animals, then what? If there is no plant, then what will the herbivore eat? If the herbivores, they don't eat, what will the carnivores eat? So it is absolutely a chain. So this is what is biodiversity is important for. Now, these are the major importances of biodiversity. I will tell you some more. Like another one is, we can get medicines, say wood, etc. from plants. So that is why biodiversity is important, because we get variety of food, variety of medicines, wood, then food from different types of plants which are necessary. Then biodiversity, it is the habitat of various other organisms. Now suppose a tree. When we are talking about one tree, a tree can harbor itself. It is itself you can actually regard a tree as a habitat. It is acting as a micro habitat rather, because a tree can harbor different types of organisms in it, from birds, insects, some animals as well, smaller animals as well. So one tree has so many things which are, so if we are not, if there are no diversity, or if there is no trees in the earth, then these animals will be, they will lose their habitat. So if they are not having their habitat, they won't be able to live. So that is why this biodiversity, maintenance of biodiversity is very much important. So these are the different types of importances of biodiversity. So now we have understood about the importance of biodiversity. What we have seen? We have seen that there are basically every type of resource, from leathers to resins, gums, wood, food, everything is related to biodiversity. If there is no biodiversity, then we are just not going to get any of these products, medicines, wood, right? So now we are going to talk about what are the threats to biodiversity. That means what are the reasons. We know that biodiversity is getting depleted day by day. As we are moving on in with the course of time, we are seeing that the biodiversity is suffering from some major threats, and if this continues, then we will definitely be at the problematic position. So some of the threats to biodiversity I have listed over here. The very first one being habitat destruction. Just now I told you that habitat destruction, habitat means it is the place where a particular organism lives. Now if you are destroying their place to live, then they will definitely die. We are making buildings, roads, where we are cutting down forests, we are dividing forests to make roads. You know, we are creating, with this nowadays, this elephant corridors. Have you heard about elephant corridors? Have you heard about elephant? Corridors. Elephant corridors, actually elephants, they are, you know, they are mammals, right? So they have this from the very small age. These elephants, they are being taught to use specific paths to pass from one place to another. Okay. So if we are considering, suppose this one particular elephant group or one particular group is used to moving from position A to position B through this path. So generation after generation, these elephant, this particular group of elephant will be imprinted to take this particular path only, some generation after generation. Now suppose these are specific to patches of forests. Now what we are doing, we are cutting this line down and we are drawing railway tracks over here. We are drawing railway tracks over here. Now if railway tracks are produced over here, the elephants, the poor elephants, they do not know or they do not understand what is the meaning of this structure that is being constructed. So whenever they are not going to stop. They will still pass through this area. So when a train comes, there are high chances. So there are so many deaths nowadays of elephants due to this railway tracks present in between the corridors of the elephants. So this is one of the so this is one type of destroying the habitat, because we are only destroying a particular habitat of the animals, because they don't understand why do we need to build houses and roads and everything, that they don't understand. So they don't know which path to follow, they will follow whichever thing they know. So that is basically habitat destruction. It leads to huge amounts of loss in the biodiversity. What is the next thing? The next thing is hunting and poaching. Now this is very easy. Poaching is basically the illegal hunting of different types of animals. Okay, poaching and hunting, this is one of the major reasons of biodiversity loss of specific animals. For example, rhinoceros, then elephants, they are being illegally poached or hunted for their horns and tusks, because these tusks, they are made of ivory, they are very costly, they are very costly, and these poachers and these illegal poachers, they actually smuggle these tusks out and sell them. So this is actually hunting and poaching. Rhinoceros and elephants, these are just some of the examples. It can be also for their skin, not only for their tusks and horns, but also can be from the skins. For example, the tiger skins, the leopard skins. Okay, these are also hunted and poached illegally. Then is over exploitation. Now over exploitation means the overuse of resources. Over exploitation means when people are overusing products, when we are overusing the products. So that is basically dealing with, suppose over exploitation. I will give you an example. You know, shark fins are actually a very famous delicacy of a specific type of country. So what do the fishermen they do? They hunt these sharks and they cut out their fins for their food. Now initially it was going on for many years, but nowadays there was an over exploitation of the hunting of sharks, because people were hunting sharks in thousands now to gain their commercial benefit from those poor organisms. So that is known as over exploitation. Okay, so this is over exploitation. Then pollution, of course, pollution is killing so many organisms out there. The increasing pollution. Then global warming. Global warming is basically the increase in the global temperature of the earth. So, which is basically interfering with the normal functioning of the organisms, because we know that specific organisms, they are designed to live in specific temperatures. Now, if the global warming is coming, so all the areas, they are warming up. So, if they are warming up, then that is making the area less tolerant for species who are designed to not live in that particular higher temperature. So, that is global warming. So, that is why global warming is definitely a threat to biodiversity. Then comes overpopulation. Now, overpopulation, again, if humans are increasing, that means everything they use are also increasing. So, cars, houses, bridges, everything, buildings, everything is increasing in number. So, if they are increasing number, so that is why habitat destruction is happening, because we need to clear the forests in order to satiate our lives. So, this is overpopulation, definitely a threat to biodiversity. Then exotic species. Now, exotic species, these are you cannot consider them as entirely human threats, or humans may or may not be the reason behind the exotic species, because you know exotic species are certain species which interfere with the normal functioning of an ecosystem. Suppose I will give you an example. Suppose this is an area. In this area, I am drawing a series of organisms over here. Suppose there are 4 types of organisms present in this area. Okay. Now, a common balance is maintained between them till now. Suppose A is feasting on B, B is feasting on C, C is feasting on D. So, till now everything was fine, but another species from outside, from any other ecosystem, somehow accidentally or deliberately has been introduced in this particular habitat. Now, when X comes over here, we are seeing that this X is very much more powerful than one of its members, or all of its members it can be. So, suppose if we are considering that A is a competitor, X is a competitor of X is a competitor of A. So, what will happen if X is more fit, that means if X is fitter, then nature is going to select X every time over an A, because A is less fit. So, that is why the nature will always select X over A. So, if X is constantly being selected instead of A, so slowly what will happen, A will get extinct from this area. This is the effect of exotic species on a particular environment. The very known example of exotic species is, there are so many. The very first one that is coming in my mind right now is the tilapia fish. It is basically an exotic species. It was not in our country. This particular fish was not in our country. It is actually coming from some other country. It came and it destroyed. It is such a powerful and such a fitter, it proved to be a fitter organism among the particular other organisms of the same trophic level, and it basically extincted them out. They extincted this particular organism, they extincted all the other fishes out from the particular environment and itself ruled. So, this is an example of exotic species. Another one is Lantana camara. It is a fish, it is a plant. This is also an example of exotic species which is destroying all the other weeds, all the other plants out there. Another one is water hyacinth. Water hyacinth, every one of you have seen. Water hyacinth. This water hyacinth is actually acting as a exotic species. So, this is exotic species, a definite threat to the biodiversity, because it is hindering with the normal biodiversity of a particular area, and it may or may not be caused by humans. Then natural calamities, this is basically, actually you know the law of nature. What is the law of nature? What is being produced or what is being created will be destroyed, right. So, this is basically the way of normalizing things in the environment. So, that is why these natural calamities will be there. If there is land, then there will be an earthquake which is going to shatter everything. If there is a forest, there will be forest fires to shatter everything, and after the destruction of that particular forest, again new forests or new trees will grow. So, that is basically the law. So, natural calamities are definitely a threat to biodiversity now, because we are already following all this, we are already being forcing these reasons as well. If these reasons was not there, then natural calamities would not have been a threat to biodiversity. But since these reasons are already destroying half of the natural things in our environment, so then this over this, if there are forest fires, then what will happen? The forest covers will further decrease. So, that is why natural calamities are also a threat to biodiversity. Okay. So, here we come to the end of this class, where we have talked about the definition of biodiversity, we have talked about the types of biodiversity, we have talked about species diversity, genetic diversity, ecological diversity, then we have talked about the importance of biodiversity, and over here we have talked about the threats of biodiversity. On the next class, we will be talking about the different types of ways of conserving our environment or our biodiversity, and we are going to also talk about the biodiversity hotspots. What are biodiversity hotspots in India? Which are the biodiversity hotspots? Why are they known as biodiversity hotspots? Everything we are going to learn in our next class.
Subscribe. Click on the bell. Like, comment, share.